So in today's video, we'll be looking at a couple of very interesting news reports that have come out regarding the PlayStation 5 and its performance, and one of those coming directly from a Sony engineer. So let's get to it. It's going to be pretty interesting to read the comments in today's video, but yeah, g'day guys, my name's Champ, and if you guys end up enjoying today's video, please smack the like button real good. And today's sponsor, yeah, we don't have sponsors, sadly. Not yet, maybe soon, I don't know. But really quickly, I didn't upload yesterday because I was at the hospital for my hand. Only 2 more weeks and it's back to normal, so yeah, really good news there. But anyway, speaking of news, we have gaming news to talk about, and it's PlayStation 5 specific. And the first thing I'm quickly going to mention here, because it does tie into the main story in today's video, it's, if you didn't already hear, SpiderMan is getting a 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5. Yes, we are getting an option to have the game run in 4K 60 FPS for the PlayStation 5, which is just awesome. So that's Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5. I seriously cannot wait to see this game running in 60 FPS, but sadly, it most likely won't have ray tracing, so that's a key thing right there. So you won't get that same experience that you normally would at 30 FPS. They are going to downgrade a few things here and there, so we are still looking into everything that we do know regarding this game. There isn't too much besides that tweet and a few other key little points, but yeah, it is pretty cool news that that's how it will work for PlayStation 5 with the Spider-Man game. I don't know about other games just yet, but we are going to have that 30 FPS option. It's going to give you HDR, 4K, ray tracing, all the little details, but then you're going to have to sacrifice a few things to get the 60 FPS, and one of those being ray tracing, so you won't get that same experience. But speaking of getting an experience, the main piece of news in today's video is actually a bit of a leak, a bit of a lie, I guess, that Sony may have told us regarding the PS5. So if you remember back a couple of months ago when Sony decided to have that PS5 event where we were all really excited, but it was just Mark Cerny standing on a stage talking to a camera for 2 hours in a really boring, monotone way, and everyone was like, what is this? He just talked about tech specs and how the architecture and the sound and things like that worked, and your eardrums and whatnot. And it was very fascinating. I have to give it to them on that part from the technical architecture point of view. But the thing is, they did talk about RDNA 2 and the architecture within the PS5 and how it's going to perform. But that's the thing, they mentioned RDNA 2, however, it looks like an engineer from Sony has actually clarified some things to us, and it doesn't look too good, but don't get too worried, this isn't the worst news in the world. Well, I don't think it is, personally, but some of you guys may be upset. That's why I said it's going to be very interesting to see the comments in this one. But it looks like the PS5 is not pure RDNA 2 like we imagined. It's sort of a middle ground between RDNA 1 and RDNA 2. Now, this information is coming from Rosario Leonardi, a Sony engineer working on the new generation console. You can see the statement on screen right here. It states, "I know you're all curious, but I'm legally bound and I cannot say anything that is not already public. As you will know, the architecture of the PS5 middle ground between RDNA 1 and RDNA 2 with some unique features. PS4 Pro was also a strange hybrid between GCN 2 and 4. Now, after stating that, this is just hours ago, like while I was sleeping, it did actually create some controversy online because a lot of people were very curious as to why did Sony state that this is going to be an RDNA 2 like console, like the architecture of the console, but now it's not necessarily that. Did they lie to us? That's the big question a lot of people are asking, but they actually had to re-clarify this, and here's what was said in the clarification. RDNA 2 is a commercial theme to simplify the market, otherwise GPUs with completely random features would come out and it would be difficult for the average user to choose. For example, support of ray tracing is not present in any AMD GPU currently on the market. The PlayStation 5 GPU is unique. It cannot be classified as 1, 2, 3, or 4. It is based on RDNA 2, but it has more features and it seems to me one less. So I know to some of you guys that may be a lot to take in because it does get a bit confusing there. But essentially, this all kind of does make some sense here, because if you take a look at SpiderMan, which is why I even brought that up at the beginning of this video, also it is news, but the reason I really tied that into this video specifically is because you take a look at Spider-Man Miles Morales and you're like, wait a second, why are they sacrificing so much to give us 60 FPS and then we lose ray tracing? Because it's an AMD chipset, that's just how it is. And they haven't got that tech just yet. So it does get a bit confusing and a bit risky. Essentially, they're having to cut some corners to create a truly next-gen experience. But is that a truly next-gen experience? I know some of you guys are going to be upset about that. Personally, I think this is all going to actually work out really well on both Xbox and PlayStation side of things. They're both going to be creating amazing games, giving us 60 FPS, ray tracing, 4K, HDR, but not at launch. I personally think this is how it's going to be in the first year or so, and we do see this with every generation. I've mentioned this in the past. We see that sort of transitional period where some games are still running off old engines, and also they just aren't familiar with the architecture of the system just yet and how to utilize that to the maximum capable possibility. So let me know what you guys think regarding this. It is interesting to see that they have been sort of marketing it to the public as one thing, but it isn't necessarily that thing specifically. But as stated in that report just then, it's mainly because consumers will get confused and they just have to kind of say, hey, it's this thing, but overall it's actually a very custom chipset. So yeah, it does get very confusing. But let me know what you guys think, as I said. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.